Good people, you are chilling with Cheaty. I'm just driving to go pick up a little something, but in the meanwhile, I thought I'd put up a video. And I want to talk a little bit about Denzel Washington. You see, I like Denzel. I like Denzel because, you know, he'll low-key, you know, even though he's in Hollywood and we know how left Hollywood is, you know, he kind of low-key and sometimes in your face throws out some real conservative kind of talking points, viewpoints, just facts to try and, you know, maybe kind of throw a little bit in the echo chamber that's in Hollywood. I speak of this because he was interviewed about this recent movie, new movie that he's in, Roman J. Israel Esquire. I saw the movie. It was all right. I give it like 3 stars out of 5. I mean, I'll give it 3.5. I'll give you 3 stars if you don't make me fall asleep. And the other 2 stars you got to work for. But I gave it 3.5. Okay, need a little bit of a character development. But this isn't a movie review, so I won't go there. Now, he was being interviewed by somebody. Somebody asked him about, you know, no, your movie is about, you know, social activism and justice and, you know, the criminal justice system. And, you know, what do you have to say about that and the reforms? And he said, look, it's not about the prisons. It's not about the prison industrial complex. It's about the fathers. He's talking about how he grew up with a lot of guys that didn't have fathers and things didn't turn out very well for him, you know? And so he didn't just absolve it and say, like, you know, there's nothing wrong with prisons at all, because of course, you take a hard look at prisons and I'm sure you can find some things in there. But Denzel just kept it real and was like, it's not, and he kept it real in such a way with the facts that we all understand and know, that the prisons are not the problem in regards to, especially the black community. Because when they talk about the prison industrial complex, they're not talking about the, you know, there's a lot of Latinos in prison. Nobody cares about that. They should, but they don't. Not that there's a lot of white people in prison too. They don't care about that. What their issue is there's a lot of black people in prisons, even though black people are only 30% of the population. And Denzel just kept it all the way real and was just like, prisons aren't the problem, people. The lack of fathers is the problem. Lack of fathers. The reason why I know for sure why I'm not in prison today is, one, because of the grace of God. Always got thought because of God's grace. But then number 2 is because I grew up with a father who worked hard with his hands, loved his wife, loved his children, honored his marriage covenant to the day he died. My mom's still living today. But he went out, he bowed out of marriage when he bowed out of life. You're seeing all those life lessons I learned from my father. And a lot of young men, they unfortunately don't get that, especially black young men, because they grow up, 72% of them don't grow up with a father. Mothers do the best they can, but God didn't design mothers to raise children by themselves. It's just not the way it was called to be. You know, Tupac himself said, you know, he'd have more confidence if he was raised with a father. Now, you think Tupac's pretty confident. You hear him on his records. But even Tupac said he thinks he'd be more confident if he had a father in his life. You know, these streets will raise you if you do not have a father. And see, this is why I love Denzel. I'll keep on watching movies with Denzel as long as he keeps on putting them out. Because I respect the man. He keeps it real. And you got a lot of these race hustlers, race pimps out there pointing to everything but a father. They want to point to the prison industrial complex. What does that even mean? Okay? And when people, this is what you need to hold leftists and all your progressive friends accountable. Whoever's watching this video, you're watching, you're listening, hearing the sound of my voice. Hold your friends accountable. Don't let them throw out these gobbledygook, just these mealy-mouthed, just vague terms. Oh, well, it's, you know, social justice. What does that mean? Prison industrial complex. What does that mean? Systemic bias. What does that mean? Systemic racism. What does that mean? Sorry, I got to pound the table like that. But I'm just saying, people throw out these phrases and these terms as if like it's just all conclusive. Like, oh, it's just axiomatic. Like, oh, it's just recognized. It is. Like, nah. I don't know what you mean. What do you mean by that? Well, there's too many black people in prison. There's too many black people committing crime. Like 40% of the violent crime in the United States is done by black people. Based upon that, you're gonna have a lot of black people in prisons. I was talking to one guy, he was like, oh man, black people going to prison for, you know, small-time drug offenses. No, they're not. Like, no, they are not. When you go into prisons and you find somebody in there, see, this is what people don't know. What people don't know is that when you go to prison, these people that are going to prisons for drug offenses, even though it's a small minority of blacks in prison for drug offenses, but the ones who do get in there, let's say for trafficking, all right, they're in there more often than not because they pled down from other offenses, such as gun charges, violent offenses. And they pled to those, and the DA and the judge reduced it down and then held them to the drug charge. So it looks like the only reason that you know, the normie, the citizen, you don't know that because on the record, their only conviction is for a trafficking offense. But you don't know about the guns they had. You don't know about the assaults, the robbery. You don't know about all that because they pled down on that stuff. But I'm telling you, man, it's like when you go to these prisons, the overwhelming amount of people in these prisons, just look at the FBI statistics for yourself. Well, I don't believe the FBI statistics. Then what do you believe? Well, show me your statistics. But when you look at the FBI crime statistics, when you have 50% of blacks committing the homicides in America, 40% committing violent crimes, you're gonna have a gang of people in prison, man. What should we do? Not throw them into prison? Do like California? Have violent offenders just stuff them in the county jails? And then the county jails just release them early because they don't have enough room for them. People aren't thinking, see, that's what happened with a lot of young people today, and even, you know, unfortunately with adults. They don't think critically, man. They just parrot whatever somebody tells them. Oh yeah, there is systemic bias. Oh yeah. I read something on MSNBC.com and I watched the Young Turks. Yeah, America's racist. That's right. Straight fools. Don't know what they're talking about. So when you got somebody like Denzel saying some stuff like that, kudos to you, Denzel. Not as if you needed it, but I'm just putting it out there. Because it's nice to hear another black man of high reputation actually speak something, speaking to the truth. Speaking the truth. Here's another thing I gotta say. All right. Although whites, of course, are the majority for now in America, they commit, I believe it's like somewhere around like 15% of the violent crime in America. So they commit 15% of the violent crime in America. Yet, when you look at the amount of police killings, let's just say in 2015, I believe it was like 250 black people and it was like 500 white people. So you mean to tell me that white people are committing less violent crime than are blacks and Latinos, yet they're killed more by the police? Okay, talking about some quote-unquote unfair numbers. So you're committing less violent crime, yet you're getting killed more by the police. Statistically, white people could actually have a gripe with police departments saying that we are overrepresented in police homicides because we are the less violent offenders. I'm just saying, okay? And I got some of my friends, oh, Cheetah, you're self-loathing. You hate black people. Nah, I'm speaking the truth. No. The majority of my friends are black. I got a gang of white friends too, but the majority of the people that I speak with, the majority of people that I find myself hanging out with, they're black. But you got an issue with black people? No, I have an issue with falsehood. I have an issue with false narratives. I have an issue with lies. And I have an issue with anybody who pushes any kind of victim agenda on people, trying to woo them and get them to think that they're a victim. Because you are most certainly not. Well, Cheetah, you've never dealt with any overt racism in your life. Why is that a problem? It's 2017. I thought we're fighting to have a less racist or non-racist society, even though there will never be a non-racist society. But I thought that's the goal. Like, we're fighting to have people not deal with racism. So you run up on somebody who would be considered a person of color, myself, who tells you, I've never dealt with overt racism. And you take issue with that. It's almost as if you want me to deal with racism. Well, I don't want to deal with racism. I'm not saying I'm trying to avoid engaging people. I'm just saying, like, I want to engage, live life, enjoy, be around a multiplicity of ethnicities, and not deal with racism. And so far in my 36 years of life, I've accomplished that. Praise the Lord. But some people say, well, you're not real enough because you don't know the struggle. I don't want to know your struggle, bro. Like, I don't want to be called the N-word by a white guy. I don't mind being around white people, but I don't want to feel that. I don't want to deal with that. Why would I sign up for that? So I can wear a badge saying, yeah, I've been racially oppressed. Well, kudos to you. I hope you feel better for it. I wouldn't. All right, man, that was a good 10, 11 minute rant. And if you lasted this long, I appreciate you, because you didn't have to. And this is what I'm trying to put up on the YouTube, man. I'm just trying to put up my thoughts, things that I think, just based facts, mingled with some of my opinion, because I can't, you know, talk and not put my opinion and my thoughts out there. But anyways, go ahead and subscribe, because I'll keep on putting up things like this, and like and share it so others may be able to see it as well. You have just spent this time chilling with Chidi, and I appreciate you. Talk to you on the next one. I'm out.